Present.
Mr. Austin,
Here.
Ms. Gross. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance. All right, thank you. Is there any announcements or public comment that does not pertain to the agenda? Hearing none, we will go on to item number 4, consent agenda.
Move to approve the Board of Works minutes from 2/21/24 and also the approval of claims.
Second, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
There isn't any old business. We'll go right into new business. Item number 1, request approval to place a maximum of 2 moving pods and parking spaces on Jackson Street for up to 3 days between March 24th and March 30th. Senior Planner Joanna Tennell.
Good evening. Sally Green, who owns 448 North Jackson Street, contacted me. She is currently in the process of moving from Florida to this location. She has 4 moving pods that has all of her belongings. She has requested approval to place up to 2 of them on Jackson Street, with the understanding if she can get 3 in her driveway, she will try to do that. And also, we did have the discussion that if it is approved, that need to provide protection for the street. Her estimated date range is between March 24th and March 30th. She'll have a better idea of exactly what the dates will be once the moving company actually picks the moving pods up. So she'll be contacting us at that time to let us know when they should be arriving. And she'd like that request to be no greater than 3 days during that time period.
Okay, I don't have any questions unless you're going to let Brett know that Street Department may have to put some cones out at that time. Okay, thank you.
I don't have any questions, Mayor. I make a motion to approve to place the maximum of 2 moving pods in the parking spaces on Jackson Street for up to 3 days between March 24th and March 30th, and also with plywood underneath the pods protecting them.
Second, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, approval of usage and hold harmless agreement to use Turning Point Church for the Franklin Active Adult Center activities 2024-2025. Parks Department Superintendent Chip Horner.
Thanks, Mayor. You recall back last summer, the council approved the Active Adult Center new building construction. So a lot of work has been going on for the last several months, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that people don't get to see. So this is one of the first things we're going to see on the public face of it. The building will probably start to come down sometime in May. So we have been searching for alternative locations for the Active Adult Center programming and those kind of things. We did find Turning Point Church, which is up on 31, kind of toward Knollwood, that is willing to allow those programs to continue there up to 4 days a week. It could be anywhere from 2 to 4 days a week, depending on the season. The reason for that is in the summertime, for example, there's parking issues at the recreation center, so it may be 4 days a week in the summertime at the church, and then in the wintertime, when we don't have those parking issues, it could be 2 days there and 2 days at our place. It just depends how that works. We did work with the legal counsel. She did review. We also worked with John Auld, our city insurance carrier, to make sure we had the proper insurance and those kind of things. And thank you, Lynn, for guiding us through all that stuff. And this is the agreement we'd like for you to sign if you would.
Okay, and I just want to add real quick, the city council did approve to move forward with the Active Adult Center. The city council hasn't totally approved the funds yet. However, I think it's wise for us to go ahead and move forward with this, anticipating the funds may be approved.
Yep.
So,
Okay, I make a motion to approve certificate of insurance for usage and hold harmless agreement to use Turning Point Church for the Franklin Active Adult Center for activities from 2024 to 2025. Also, the mayor to sign on behalf of the board.
second, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next item, request acceptance of temporary and permanent sanitary sewer easement, Burton Family Trust parcel for the West Side Interceptor Sanitary Sewer Project Phase 2. City Engineer Mark Richards.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. These are two easements that are being acquired for the West Side Interceptor. The Burton Family Trust parcel is just north of State Road 144, near Creekside Drive. The cost of the easements total is $3,000. There's just a very short distance that the sanitary sewer will cross their parcel.
Okay, I don't have any questions with this. Mr. Austin, do you?
Does the dollar amount need to be in the motion?
No.
Thank you.
Okay,
So with that said, I make a motion to approve the acceptance of temporary and permanent sanitary sewer easements for the Burton Family Trust parcel for the West Side Interceptor Sanitary Sewer Project Phase 2.
second. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next item, request acceptance of temporary and permanent sanitary sewer easement, Hensley parcel for the West Side Interceptor Sanitary Sewer Project Phase 2. I'm just going to add, it's city engineer, but I want to add the Phase 2, we're probably looking at 1, maybe 2 years before we get to this project, but we're trying to get all the easements in place before that time. So I don't have any questions there. Mark, go ahead. This one's a little bit more expensive, I believe.
Yeah, this is a larger parcel that the easements are crossing. It's just south of Country View Mobile Home Park. The cost of these easements is $42,300. And Mr. Austin, I'm just providing that information because the mayor likes to have that in the record. That amount has already been submitted to the clerk treasurer's office for payment.
Thank you. So with that said, I'd make a motion to approve the acceptance of temporary and permanent sanitary sewer easements, Hensley parcel for the West Side Interceptor Sanitary Sewer Project Phase 2.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item, request approval of change order 9 for the South Main Street Reconstruction Project. City Engineer Mark Richards.
Yes, this is a change order. It's a final balancing change order based on quantities of materials used on the project. It's a reduction in cost of $25,045.25. Previous change orders approved up to this date have totaled $15,099.12. So there will be a net balance. There won't be a balance due. There will actually be a refund of probably about $2,000. The total cost where we're below the contract amount is $9,946.13. We would get a refund from NDOT after they do a final audit on the project, which is typically about 5 years down the road. We would receive 20% of that roughly $10,000 amount. So would like to submit this change order for acceptance.
So real quick, Ken, just so you know and the audience know here, when we have the matching grant projects, we go ahead and put the money, the state has our money in advance, and then at the end of the day, 5 years from now, what they don't spend, we'll get back. Or there is times that we have to pay some money into it. So
Sure.
this is one we might get something back.
It's rare.
Yeah.
It seems anyway,
Yeah.
from my point of view. So with that said, I make a motion to approve the change order number 9 for the South Main Street Reconstruction Project as presented.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item, request approval of change order 36 for the North Main Street Phase 2 Reconstruction Project. City Engineer Mark Richards.
Yes, and this is one where 5 years is stretched into almost 10 years. This project was actually completed back in about 2015. So NDOT has talked with the inspection firm and asked that a final balancing change order be submitted. This is actually an increase in cost of $28,000, $28,008.66. However, the prior approved change orders resulted in a reduction of $98,948.57. So this just basically reduces the overall reduction. The total change order to date now is $70,939.91. So that would, in essence, result in a refund at whatever time NDOT does their final audit on this project.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark. With that said, I make a motion to approve change order number 036 for the North Main Street Phase 2 reconstruction project as presented.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next item, approval of consulting agreement with New Focus HR Clerk Treasurer Jan Jones.
Yeah, the clerk treasurer's office is starting the process of hiring an HR generalist, and we have met with, over the phone, New Focus, who is going to help us with this process to find the right individual. And part of that is the agreement, and there's three parts to the agreement. The first is that they will complete a new employee handbook for the cost of $5,000. After that, every year, it's only $150 a year for them to make any updates and any changes that may need to go into it. And then the consulting fee of $175 an hour. And again, that includes them helping us not only with the job description that we'll talk about next, but the ad and where to find the best fit for this position.
If I might add, also, one of the, it's time, we've, way past time, as to have an HR. Most specialists in the industry have indicated with a city our size, it behooves us to have an HR specialist. That person will not be an attorney. And so having someone that our HR specialist could call, like this company, would be helpful to them. Now, we obviously have to advertise and get the right person to be able to do it. And the other thing is, it's certainly time to update our employee manual. It's been 10 years ago, maybe, 8 to 10. Well, I was here, so it's not 20, so. Because I was here as the city attorney. 2014, okay, I thought so it's time, it's 10 years. And there are many small things that we've adopted individually through resolution. They all ought to be incorporated in. And so, frankly, when Jan and I were able to meet with, and Tara, we were kind of surprised that it was only $5,000 flat fee. So I certainly recommend, and this was also the company that was recommended to us because they have a lot of experience dealing with governmental entities, and that's a different type of approach of things with employee meetings. So we had an hour-long conversation, I think, with this company, and we bring this.
They work with over 80 municipalities.
Yeah, so be nice if they don't have to reinvent the wheel.
About time.
Yep.
So I'm just requesting approval of the contract.
And I'm good with it, Mr. Austin. This is something that we've talked about for a
We have.
long time.
We have.
So,
Yeah, it's way past due. So that said, make a motion to approve the consulting agreement with New Focus as presented, and also for the clerk treasurer to sign on behalf of the board.
second. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Next item, approval of the HR generalist job description, Clerk Treasurer Jan Jones.
Yeah, this is, I mentioned just a second ago, even though we haven't hired her, she was very kind and generous enough that when I sent over a rough draft, she helped me to kind of edit the job description for what we are looking for our city. And so if you look through there, there's just the highlights of what the HR generalist would be in charge of. Not only that, we're gonna require a bachelor's in HR management or related field, 5+ years related experience or training, and then certification from SHRM or Human Resource Certification Institute. So again, we're looking for that right person for the position, not just whoever applies.
Jan, can you give me an idea what kind of dollar amount we're looking to spend?
We're gonna, the range we've said is 55 to 68,000. I did a little research and compared just kind of a bigger city, a city our size, a little smaller. So again, this is just by population. I know city setup's probably a little different, but Brownsburg was very similar. They have a population of around 29,000. They have a HR senior manager that makes 60,000. If we go a little bigger, Goshen has a HR manager about, their population's 35,000 and they pay 79,000. So again, you're quite a bit more there. And then a little smaller, Seymour, 21,000 population range, they pay, their HR manager 55,000. So that's why we thought that $55,000 to $68,000 range was good. Kristen from New Focus said that range, we should be able to find somebody with that 5+ year experience with the certification, and she thought that would be perfect for the city.
I frankly expected it to be higher.
Yeah, me too.
But when you add on our benefit package, which is exceptional compared to maybe some of the others, it's,
Which when
She-
we develop that ad, that'll be a huge plus to not only this job description, but to add in that benefit package.
because I think it's fair to say that we all ask, are there people out there that will do that job for that salary? And
Sure.
she felt comfortable that there were.
And Ms. Jones, may I also ask, are you and the mayor working together with, say, 3 to 5 candidates that you're bringing in and you're interviewing? Or is that, you're going to take the, I think you had mentioned that you were working with that company to get a potential person here?
Yeah, well, there's a website that she had recommended. Once we get the ad made is where we post. And then once candidates start coming in, then I think something will go from there.
Okay.
And she also volunteered, I mean, that's why the job description, get it out there. She also volunteered to give us questions and things that anybody that would be qualified would know what, things. I don't know what I don't know. And so she was able to give us things that, these are things you should be able to ask a candidate and they should be able to know it immediately.
Thank you.
And Jan and we will work together on this when the time's right.
I figured as much, but I was just curious if they were going to say, okay, here's your candidate.
No,
No, it's our decision.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
She'll just help us with the question, sorry.
Thank you. No, that's fine. That's why I'm asking.
Yes.
And of course, council has to approve the salary, so we've got. a couple
Recognize
steps.
that as well. That's why I was asking about the dollar amount. Thank you. It sounds to me like a bargain, really. It seems like our city's past due for a human resource manager, so thank you.
Okay, so I'm good with, the job description is what we're trying to get approved at the moment, so I am good with that on how it was presented myself, so.
I'll make a motion for approval of the HR generalist job description as proposed. And Jan, do you need to sign on behalf of the board on this one as well, or just the first one?
This is just.
The description, yeah. There's nothing to sign, this is just what we will be advertising.
Okay,
It's easy.
motion for approval of the HR generalist job description as proposed.
Second, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item, request the following performance bonds be accepted at Winterfield, Section 1 and 2. Senior Planner Joanna Tennell.
Good evening. So the next 3 requests are in regard to Winterfield, Section 1 and 2. It's a proposed subdivision to be developed on the west side of Hurricane Road, immediately north of Heritage and west of the golf course. This is a subdivision that's been under review and ready to move forward for a while. It is a little bit unique because the property has not been closed on by the developer, but in order to keep things moving, as there's some construction items that need to be completed on the Legends Golf Course in a timely manner before they start operating and needing their irrigation system, we are bringing these 3 items to you and are going to request that they be approved with conditions that the board does not execute the documents or record anything until after we receive verification from the buyer and the seller that the property has been closed upon. So the first item is a request for performance bonds to be accepted for Winterfield Section 1. There is bond number 016243966 for erosion control, $237,234.78. Bond number 016243967, Hurricane Road, FDR, that's for the reconstruction of Hurricane Road itself, for $200,445.18. Bond number 016243968, Passing Blisters, the storm sewer, $5,413.68. Bond number 016243969, Passing Blisters Streets, $28,111.20. And then for Section 2, Winterfield, bond number 016243970, for erosion control, $72,961.92.
If I might just elaborate on what Joanna said, the developer's ready to go forth, but the owner of the property doesn't want us recording anything that's a lien on the property until it's actually closed, which makes perfect sense. Of course. So we've got the document, but we have indicated we will not execute and record it until they actually own the property.
And Joanna, we're being told that closing date's this week, correct?
Yes, closing date is supposed to be March 5th, so they'll be reaching out to me either that afternoon or March 6th to indicate whether or not we can proceed, or if it's been postponed.
Okay, thank you. Do you want all these individually, or can we do this together?
You can just make one motion for accepting the performance bonds with the condition, but you don't have to read them.
Yeah,
Okay,
that they will not, yeah, we don't have to read them into the record. Only if we're releasing them, do we have to read them into the record, so.
That said, I make a motion for approval of the performance bonds for Winterfield Section 1 and 2 with the condition that the Board of Works will not execute the documents until staff has received written confirmation from the buyer and seller that the buyer has closed on the property.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
That's about as simple as you get right there.
It's been 2 years, it's simple.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been,
Well, I
Been 2
mean, for
years.
us,
Yeah.
for us to, yeah, with
well,
all-
thanks, Joanna, because it's been a lot of hours.
yeah.
Thank you, Joanne, appreciate
Yeah,
that.
next item, acceptance and execution of the following documents related to Winterfield Section 1 and Section 2, sanitary sewer service special agreement, earthwork and paving inspection service agreement, and storm and sanitary sewer inspection service agreement. Senior Planner Joanna Tinnell.
Yes, these are corresponding documents with the previous item. There are 2 sanitary sewer service special agreements, one for Section 1 and one for Section 2. The earthwork and paving inspection service agreement is one document because they are going to complete all earthwork with Section 1 construction. And then there are 2 separate storm and sanitary sewer inspection service agreements, one for Section 1 and one for Section 2. And staff is recommending that these be approved with the same condition that they not be executed until we receive verification.
Okay.
Make a motion for the acceptance and execution of the Winterfield Section 1 and 2 for the sanitary sewer special services agreement, earthwork and paving inspection service agreement / storm sewer and sanitary sewer inspection service agreements with the condition that the Board of Works will not execute the documents until staff has written confirmation from the buyer and seller that is closed on the property.
Perfect. That's second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hey, thank you on that one, Joanna. Next one, acceptance and execution of plat over easements related to Winterfield Section 1 and Section 2. Senior Planner Joanna Tinnell.
The items before you are plat over easements that are on the seller's portion of the property in which they will maintain There are public improvements that will be provided on portions of their ground for drainage, temporary turnarounds, and utility extensions. So we are requesting that these documents be approved with the condition that the Board of Works not execute or release them for recording until staff has received confirmation from the seller that they can be recorded.
And I have no questions, Mr. Austin.
It sounds like, Joanna, you've got all your ducks in a row. Appreciate that. I make a motion for the acceptance and execution of the plat over easements related to Winterfield Section 1 and 2 for the drainage easement and right-of-way, roadway easement and right-of-way, and the utility easement and right-of-way. And also that with the condition that the Board of Works will not execute or release the documents for recording until after staff has received written confirmation from the seller that the documents have been recorded.
Thank you. Second. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Joanna. Okay, next item, approval of settlement agreement and release of claim for property damage to sod and gravel edge of shoulder of road resulting from an accident on January 10th, 2024 by CFG Transport, City Engineer Lynn Gray.
City engineer?
Did I say that?
Boy, we're in deep trouble. We are in deep, deep trouble. I'll have the roads going all which way.
And I can't deny I said that.
I know, I heard. Well, this is not nearly as exciting as a plat over easement. However, this is kind of interesting. We had a tractor trailer go off one of the side of the roads on one of the slick days, and the clerk treasurer's office received a copy of the accident report indicating that there had been some damage to our roadway. And Brett was kind enough to go out and to look to the roadway and see that there was some sod and some problems that had occurred. In the interim period of time, I received a phone call from the insurance company for the truck driver who wanted to know if we were submitting a claim. And when Brett gave me the idea that it was only $190.62, I reached out to the owner of the trucking company who was on vacation in Mexico Beach in Florida and said, happy to take your insurance money, but do you really want to do that? It probably isn't the smartest thing with the deductible. And he said, can I just write you a check for $190.62? I said, you cannot write me one, but you can write the city of Franklin one, and that's why you have this before you. Very easy to work with. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Brett. Actually, it was wrapped up within a week of the damage occurring, and our guys and gals went out and looked at it, and I think the repairs are already done. So just need you to approve this settlement agreement. And I think you have the check. Yeah.
Mayor, you want to add anything?
No.
Make a motion for approval of the settlement agreement and release of claim for property damage to sod and gravel edge of shoulder of road resulting in an accident on January 10th of this year by CFG Transport.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Did you say aye, Ken?
Aye, I did, sorry.
I didn't hear. You made the motion. It's kind of funny whenever somebody makes the motion, you still vote, but that's okay. Okay, next item. City and Franklin Community School Corporation IT agreement, City Attorney Lynn Gray and IT Director Rick Littleton.
Thank you, Mayor. At the conclusion of last week's telecommunications committee meeting that occurs on Monday nights, Matt Sprout, of course, works with the school corporation, reminded Rick that it was our IT agreement that we have with them, where we actually work quite closely together. We have the collective use of being able to acquire service agreements and things. It's really saved the city a lot of money by having them, and plus they can fill in and they help us. Has been working very well. We did, the first agreement was a one-year trial basis, and that worked out well enough that we actually entered into a second agreement for 3 years, which expires at the end of this month. And Matt and Rick recommended that we extend the agreement and suggested a 5-year agreement on the same terms and conditions. I reached out to the school's council as well, and he reached out to the superintendent. He was agreeable, thought it was a good idea. We do pay them for their services, and again, I think, Rick, you can chime in, but I feel like we've saved more money than we probably spent. But we also give them school resource officers too. So it's a collaborative agreement, but this is before you. If you accept it, it will be continuing it for another 5 years on the same terms and conditions. Rick, anything to add?
No, ma'am. That cost, just FYI, is $35,000. That's the same as it was on the very first agreement. So the cost is exactly the same. And we felt even at 5 years, there are mechanisms in place that either party, if circumstances would change, that you know, we would want out or want to reconsider. Those are part of the agreement.
Yeah, there is a provision in there that either party can give notice and terminate. if We want to.
So it was our recommendation that you approve the agreement and authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the board.
Jan, I forgot to come and see you today. Did you happen to look up what we get from the school for the school resource officers?
I tried, I had some computer issues this afternoon, so I'll have that in the morning.
Okay, I think it's right at $60,000.
That's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Hey, when that happens.
That's Bill's fault, not.
Oh. Maybe we
So,
need-
so I think it's right at $60,000. And my point is, it's a benefit to the taxpayers. That's who's getting benefited here. It helps the city with the $35,000 that we pay is definitely worth, I'd hate to put a price on it, but it's worth a lot more than that. And the same thing with our school resource officers that we supply to the school. That's worth more than what we get out of them. But working together, that's what makes our community a great place to live, work, and play, and that it's a win for the taxpayers. So I'm grateful to get back into this agreement that we have. So anything else, Mr. Austin?
I just want to ask Ms. Gray, do the 5-year same terms need to be also into the motion and the dollar amount?
No, you can just approve it as presented.
Thank you. That said, I make a motion to approve the City of Franklin and Franklin Community School Corporation IT agreement as written.
Second. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye. I
Thank
did not include sign on the mayor's behalf. I apologize, Jan. Do I need to revise that?
I thought we had on, do we have on here just the mayor's signature? I wrote it, you'd think I'd remember.
Yeah, I believe it's
Okay.
just the-
Yeah, we should amend
Just
your motion
revise
to
it
include,
Okay. And should start over or revise
or
it?
just authorize the mayor's sign on behalf of
Okay,
the
I'll make a
city.
motion also to authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the city.
Thank you.
And I will second the motion to sign on behalf of the city the agreement with the Franklin Community School Corporation for IT. So with the motion made, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Sorry, Jan. Sorry, Steve.
No, it's good.
Jan, can you get me a copy of it and I'll get it over so the board can get it on their agenda, the school council? Thank you.
Okay, next item, approval of Resolution 2024-02, authorizing lease with option to purchase agreement with Municipal Capital Finance, Police Vehicles, City Attorney Lynn Gray, and Street Commissioner Fleet Manager Brett Jones.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll turn it over to Brett. But this is part of our routine fleet management that Brett instituted, I don't know how many years ago. And these are for police cars only. We typically lease them with an option to purchase. The police cars themselves, in terms of the pricing, they are QPA, so we don't have to go through the formal bidding process. Technically, you don't have to bid a lease anyway, so this is very standard. It's got the amortization schedule of what we pay, and then we are actually then purchasing them at the conclusion of the lease. Brett, do you have anything else? It's part of our normal
Yeah,
management.
Yep, everything's the same as it has been in the previous 10 or so that we've done, so, other than the rate's not as good as it once was.
So, Brett, just with the record, the ones, how many did you tell us we're getting?
We're getting 7.
We're getting 7 this
7
time?
Durangos. One of them will be a K-9 officers unit. There'll be 4 patrol Durangos and then 2 detective/admin style Durangos, so.
Okay, and during the process of working with the dealership, I know sometimes, most of the time, we trade our vehicles in, sometimes we use them somewhere else. How many of these are going to be trade-ins involved with it?
I don't know exactly yet. We've identified a few vehicles, but there's been some changes, obviously, with obviously the department being at full staff. So we're still in the process of figuring out what the pool car situation is going to look like. So I will be back probably at the next meeting, hopefully with a finalized list of trades to hopefully apply towards towards this program.
Okay, and I know in the past, and that's why you're the fleet manager, you've done a great job of repurposing the vehicles through the fleet.
Yeah,
so-
because I think we're going to be back full staff with K-9 too, so that we had a car that was possibly going to be traded, but I think we're going to keep it now to not have to reinvest in another K-9 unit. So still some balls in the air, if you will, but as far as replacement of the new, or for the new, this will be the final numbers. So,
Okay, thank you.
yep.
I would add that one of the attachments that's required is an opinion letter from the city attorney. The one you have is a duplicate, and you need one in my original letterhead, and I brought it here tonight, so you can swap that out, because they'll need an original letterhead.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 2024-02, authorizing a lease with option to purchase agreement with Municipal Capital Finance for police vehicles, as presented.
Okay, we have a motion, and I will second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That gets us to other business, and we'll start, Sally.
Well, tomorrow we have a startup on the second fine screen. The first one we started up a few weeks ago has been fine. The last one is in place, ready to go. We'll have that start up, and then we'll be fully operational in our new building. The only thing we're waiting on is like some lights that were broken in shipping, so we're up and running. It's kind of nice. And then the second thing is SSI is supposed to be on site tomorrow at the high school, which looks like rain, so to fill in some of the settling and do that. They were scheduled to do that tomorrow, but I'm guessing they won't. But we'll see. So very soon. Wrap that up.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
it.
Mark?
Yes, sir. I have some items that I'd like to bring to the board's attention with respect to the Fire Station 21 remodel. As you may recall, the guaranteed price on the project was $2.4 million. Pardon me, which does include an $86,320 owner-controlled allowance. That's for anything that comes up during the project that the city would like to add to the project that was not included in the original scope. We received one of those allowance authorization requests last Thursday, which I brought down to, or I sent to your office and asked if you would consider signing that in the interest of keeping the project moving, and then bring it to the board for ratification. This allowance authorization is, the amount is $13,307. It's for a number of various items. It's adding epoxy flooring to the battalion office. Let's see, supplying bucket fans, hooking up bucket fans, adding a third locker to the battalion chief's room, adding a door opening. There are also some reductions, for instance, deducting gear room lockers in the amount of $13,500, savings from boring the water line versus open cutting of $1,000. So the total net cost of this is $13,307. So what I'd like to do is request that the board ratify your signature on this. It does leave a balance of $73,013 for the owner-controlled allowance.
Okay, do you have any questions on that, Kenny? So I thought on, the reason I signed that day, and I don't have any regrets about it, I thought whenever we did the owner, the stuff like that, that we had money there, that we can do that.
We do.
Okay.
And this is really more of an accounting method to keep track of what we approve and what the scope of that work is.
Okay. So that answers the questions. I did have the authority to do that. We're just ratifying it today. That way they keep going and not wait for us to sign a paper to do the work, so.
But the original 86 was already built into the total package price.
That's correct.
I mean, it was just, yeah.
So on that one, since I signed it, I would make a motion that we ratify the price that the add-ons, that change orders that Mark has brought forward with us in the amount of how much, Mark?
It was $13,307.
$13,307.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And I have two more of those that you have not signed yet, and I wanted to we received these on Friday. So I wanted to go ahead and bring these to the board for approval if you choose to do so. Authorization number 2 is in the amount of $15,826, and this is for including kitchen cabinets and a kitchen remodel in the fire station. And Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was something that was excluded from the original contract by former Chief Culp.
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay, and this is something that you would like to include in this to
Yes, when
get
I
this
found out
worked out?
about the allowances, I thought this would be a good use of the allowances because the kitchen was over 14 years old, had a lot of water damage in the cabinets. When they took the cabinets out, they basically fell apart. So I thought, we're remodeling the whole station, let's update the kitchen while we do it.
Of course.
And there was no cost to the city. The fire department actually demoed the flooring and everything out of the kitchen. So we did it. Preston and I and on-duty crews demoed everything.
Okay, and I agree with you. It needed to be done. We wouldn't want to remodel and have something 12, 15 years old in a new building, so. Okay, what's the amount again?
Authorization number 2 is in the amount of $15,826.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve authorization change order number 2, $15,826.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the third and final authorization that will come before the board on this owner-controlled allowance is for replacing a substantial amount of exterior brick on the building that is either damaged or there are problems with the control joints, things like that. It's actually, this work is split between authorization number 3, which will exhaust the balance of the funds. The amount remaining in the owner-controlled allowance is $57,187. And so there is also a change order that will increase the cost of the project over the $2.4 million in the amount of $38,654. So adding those two numbers together, I don't have a calculator, but let's see.
You just said 57,187?
Yeah, 57,187 and add
Phone's better.
187 plus
95,841.
Yep. $95,841.
Yeah, that's the total amount of the brickwork that's going to be done. So again, we're exhausting the balance of the owner-controlled allowance, and then we have a change order in the amount of $38,654. And I forgot to mention that on the second authorization and on authorization 3 and change order 1, like to have the mayor sign on the board's behalf.
So there is no additional monies that will be available to,
No,
are there
No,
any
ma'am.
additional
there,
suspected costs?
we do not anticipate any additional costs unless they get into some unknowns in the brickwork. If they uncover something that requires some additional work, then there is a potential for additional work, additional costs there.
How would they not know that now if they're telling us we need new brick?
Because you won't know, for instance, if there are structural components
Oh,
behind the brick
Got you.
that it has deteriorated or has damage to it.
So what we're actually going over the budget's $38,654. And Mark and Josh and I, we've been talking about this for 3 or 4 weeks. We knew about this and where the money can come from. We may, if you remember, we talked about sewer department having some ARPA funds left over. We want to make sure we use all their funds. Plus, we could also pay for it out of the edit funds, we could pay for it out of Board of Works funds, or we can pay for it out of the CCD fund. It just all depends when the time comes for the payment of where we want to take that from. Working with Jan, we'll get together and look at where's the best opportunity to do that from. And the other thing I wanted to add, so we were talking about today in our department head meeting, we're shooting for April 1st for the project to be done. So we're getting close to the end, and there's been a lot of work. If you go check it out, it's like, wow, they're getting pretty close. So just so you know, April 1st, hopefully our guys are moving back in and we're good for April 8th. That's what our goal is. So with that being said, I would like to make a motion for change order number 4.
No, it's actually change order number 1. The first one is allowance authorization number 3 for the brick, and then change order number 1. Change orders are anything that increases the
Increasing.
cost over 2.4 million.
Correct. So you're approving allowance number 3
Yeah.
and change order number 1.
Okay, allowance number 3 would be the 95,841.
No. Allowance number 3 is
They're coming down there.
yeah,
So allowance number 3 would be which one? The
57,187.
Okay, so I'd make a motion to approve allowance number 3, $57,187, and have the mayor sign on behalf of the board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now, what's the next one?
The next one is the change order, which is the 38.
$8,654. Okay, so I would make a motion to approve change order, is that 4?
No, it's change order number 1.
Change order number 1, $38,654, and be signed by the mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
And Ms. Gray, would you want something to be amended on authorization number 2 to authorize the mayor to sign on the board's behalf
Was
as
that
well?
not part of the motion?
It was
I
not
thought
part
it-
of the motion.
I would amend change order number 2 to have the mayor sign on behalf of the board.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And
Okay,
that's all I have.
thank goodness.
God sei Dank.
Okay, Brett,
I can't follow that.
Krista?
Good.
I don't have much, just to announce that we have the disbursement of economic development fees for the year, so that amount will be right around $90,000, which is the highest amount that we've had so far. So that will go out to the nonprofits active in economic development, probably within the next month or so. And then we made it to the next round for the Veterans Alley for a grant through 180 in Color for $45,000. So just hoping we get that as well.
Okay, thank you. Rick?
I don't have anything else, sir.
Okay, I know Miss Gray, I'm going to go with you now, headed down that way, because I know you do have something.
Oh, yeah. And I apologize that I'm bringing it to you because it's rather time-sensitive, but as everyone knows, this board, the city operates a wastewater treatment plant. And as part of the wastewater treatment plant, we operate that under a permit which is issued by IDEM. And part of IDEM's, quite frankly, some of the things that they do with wastewater treatment that comes in has to then be treated. It's almost like a chemistry class and a science class that goes on. And IDEM monitors that. There are numerous requirements and treatments that are required for treating of the wastewater, and I won't get into the dirty details of that. But what has to happen is the superintendent of the wastewater treatment plant files reports with IDEM, and there are numerous types of reports that are required. One of them is a discharge monitoring report, and the other is a monthly report. They're called MROs and DMRs, and they're done every month, and they're sent them, and IDEM reviews them. Last year in July and October, IDEM sent an inspection letter outlining that the ammonia levels of our effluent that had been treated were too high, and they were in violation of the IDEM permit. On November 13th of last year, They requested a detailed plan to be presented to them as to how they were going to straighten out the ammonia levels that were on there. That was done by Sally and by Gary Rustin and gave them that compliance plan, brought it into compliance, and it's been in compliance ever since. However, there are fines associated with ever being out of compliance on the ammonia, the amount that's generated. And those fines can be pretty onerous. Originally, the amounts of the fines were $25,000. And we went back and worked with IDEM and said, can you give us some consideration given the amounts of the improvements and things that are going on? They did agree to it. However, they've agreed to reduce it to $15,600, and it's time sensitive because they've given us until next Monday to be able to agree to that. They will also request a subsequent compliance plan to make sure that our ammonia levels stay where they are. I want to, again, talk about this is wastewater, so it's not anything that goes into our citizens, that they don't drink it or anything of that nature. And they will require a compliance plan, which Gary and Sally will be required to then provide to IDEM. I'm requesting your approval to enter into an agreed order with regard to the reduction of these fines, if it will be paid within 30 days. That's why they've agreed to reduce it, in addition to the information that we gave them about plans that we're doing to further the plant. And it's been a 30-year-old, how long has it been since we did any? Even more
It's
than that.
actually, Rick, it was in, what, 96 was the last big upgrade, 97? It was originally in 70s was built, then there was an upgrade in the 90s.
Right, and so they have agreed to reduce some of the fines and what they are, but they won't waive all of it because of the requirements of the compliance and the monitoring they have. So I'm asking for approval of that, of authorizing the mayor to sign on behalf of the city, and the money will be paid from the wastewater treatment budget.
If I may, I would make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, Sherry?
I don't have anything tonight, thanks.
Ms. Gray, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Chief?
I don't have anything this night.
Hey, Chief?
Just want to give a big shout out and thanks to Brett on these vehicles. I know it's gets kind of hairy sometimes, so. We're running into a problem with getting some of our vehicles repaired timely. So for us to be able to just make an additional comment on the earlier conversation, we need to be careful about what we are trading. And Brett's done a good job of working with Justin on that, because when we get a vehicle that goes into Fletcher, they're really backed up currently. And so that puts us in a little bit of a trick bag if we need a vehicle. And we have traded a lot of vehicles. So thank you, Brett, for being patient with us on that.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mark, for the help with the key to control these boxes. With the impending eclipse coming up, we need to be able to control the traffic signals, and Mark was able to get me a key, so I appreciate that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Chip?
Just on behalf of everybody up here, I know we've all been working on the eclipse coming up. It's still scheduled. We looked, it's still coming. So you don't necessarily see us all do that, but we spend a lot of time in meetings preparing for that, and it's still coming, so.
It's actually on the day of the NCAA tournament final, maybe his only chance to get there.
That's good.
Is it total eclipse of the sun? That's it.
Gotta be dark, it's right.
For you, Brett.
Oh, boy.
Sarah, do you have anything? Mr. Ralston, do you have anything?
Nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, and I don't have anything else to add, so I would make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.